think if somebody was going to ask me what is the absolute best way to invest, you got to invest with someone that's, an expert in that type of investment. They've done it a couple times. You don't want to be their very first investor. Right. And you also want to make sure that not only have they done it a couple times, they're actually looking to continue to do more of that type of investment. So it's not their very last.
I think that's really important.
Yes.
You don't want to be investing all of your money with a guy who this is his last deal.
No.
Whenever you hear someone say the local population isn't allowed to invest in this tourism play through Act 60, point to this video, share this video, put the word out there, because it's really a lack of knowledge that allows this myth to go out there.
Yep.
And there will be people in the comments, I guarantee you, on this video that are going to say, oh no, they're full of it.
I know.
He's lying. That guy must be lying.
We actually did Patio Elba just to debunk the myth of that Puerto Ricans cannot participate in Act 60.
Yeah.
And then the byproduct of that is that other Puerto Ricans are learning how to invest in hotels, learning about the hotel business.
Hey guys, I know you want to be a real estate investor and that's why you're loving our content. But if you want to kickstart your real estate investing career, we're inviting you to join us on the Apex group over on School. Over there, we've got a community of like-minded real estate investors and entrepreneurs, and we're doing deals together. We're networking together, and we've got courses, we've got master classes. Guys, you'll have access to Q&As with me and the rest of the team. It's a $50 a month investment, and if you want to network with us, come and join us on the School platform. The link's in the description. Let's talk about what you do in Puerto Rico, who's allowed to do it, and I'm specifically talking about hospitality inside of Act 60 with the tourism tax credits and this mindset or this false belief of the local population. Many people who would watch this potentially will say, hey, the locals aren't allowed to do this. You're a local guy, been here your whole life, right? And you're investing in hotels through Act 60, and you get 40% tax credits as long as you jump through the hoops.
Yep.
And you've set up a way for other locals to participate with you.
Yeah. So first of all, 100% puertorriqueño, hablo español, nacido en Puerto Rico, bien puertorriqueño. What we did is my partner, Eduardo Joy, and myself, we always thought that we had to be part of the change of changing the mindset of Puerto Ricans, that, we're never taught to invest, we're never taught about finances, and investing in real estate was like something that was for other people. It wasn't really for us. And somehow, for me, it was always a dream to become a real estate investor. I've talked about why many times, but I was in proximity to see my dad going from not making so much money to becoming a millionaire in one transaction. Wow. So that was really cool to see. And then beside him, I saw my mom working 40 years, and she never actually became a millionaire, right? Mm-hmm. She had a lot of cash flow and a lot of money from her job. So for me, that was kind of like, okay, there's something here. And I think for Joy, what was pretty interesting is that he was actually an employee, and then one day he just decided I got to get out of the rat race, and he bumped into real estate because he read the book of the Rich Dad Poor Dad. Anyways, we got together at some point through these communities, mm-hmm. which is, I think, one of the values of, creating communities, and having people, connect during the communities, where we realized we had a lot in common, and he had already been looking at deals. And when we found this deal where Patio Elba sits, the normal thing that most people would do is they would just do it themselves. That's kind of like the default. That's what you probably expect to see. You find a deal and you think selfishly, okay, how do I get this deal? So for us, when we thought about that, we also thought about, okay, how cool would it be is instead of doing this ourselves, we have allowed other people to do it. And we had already been in a community where we were learning how to do syndication, which is the legal way where other people can invest. So whenever you're hearing somebody saying, hey, invest in my deal and blah, 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 there's many ways to do it. I'm not a lawyer, but one for sure way where it works is when you invest in a syndication. So we learned how it works in general terms, but more importantly, we knew who to call, which was a lawyer, to set it up for us. And we essentially came up with a way where other Puerto Ricans could become owners of this hotel with us through the legal way. It all worked out because at the end of the day, Eduardo and myself never had the opportunity to do this. So we wanted to democratize for Puerto Ricans and give them an opportunity to invest as little as $25,000.
Amazing.
Because, we love the banks so much that we wanted to compete with the banks. We wanted to give people an opportunity where they could redirect their savings account that's making a whopping 0%
No money at all.
to making some real money. So that's why we did it. There was a lot of
how many people invested in Patio Elba?
it's about 15 people.
15 people, all of them local Puerto Ricans?
100%.
100% local Puerto Ricans. And you as the driver of the ship, you and Eduardo, local Puerto Ricans. So, I mean, this is truly debunking the myth.
It was literally, I kid you not, the whole purpose of doing it was to debunk the myth.
You debunked the myth completely. So you guys, whenever you hear someone say the local population isn't allowed to invest in this tourism play through Act 60, point to this video, share this video, put the word out there, because it's really a lack of knowledge that allows this myth to go out there.
Yep.
And there will be people in the comments, I guarantee you, on this video that are going to say, oh no, they're full of it.
I know.
He's lying. That guy must be lying.
I'm like, no, we actually did Patio Elba just to debunk the myth of that Puerto Ricans cannot participate in Act 60.
Yeah.
And then the byproduct of that is that other Puerto Ricans are learning how to invest in hotels, learning about the hotel business. We have a WhatsApp group with all of our partners where I tell them all the time what we're doing, how we're making money. We give them quarterly meetings. But more importantly, we give them the behind the scenes.
Right.
And some of them actually ask me to go to the hotel to show to their friends, and they ask questions. And even though they're not learning the nitty gritty of every single thing that's happening in the hotel, because by the way, you don't want to know every single thing, they can ask very, very smart questions and really understand how to do it. And they dip their toes with a small investment to get going. And I think over time, they're going to be extremely happy that they took a little bit of money that they had in a savings account that wasn't doing much.
Yep.
And it's going to do 10 to 20 times better over time. And I think that if it all plays out really well, I don't think they're going to look back from that for sure.
And so now I know you want to do bigger deals, right? Will you continue to invite others in?
I will continue to invite others in. I would like to focus on accredited investors. And the reason for that is because at the end of the day, I'm 38 or about to be 39. I would say that I only have maybe 10 to 15 years of like full energy where I can go and get into a deal and end up if I end up in a lawsuit with someone, God forbid, which it happens, I can still have the energy to
rebuild,
to make it right and figure it out. But I don't want to be in my 70s, trying to put these things together. I want to be more in a passive manner in the future. So I would like to speed up that process. And I think at the end of the day, I need to go and access, bigger checks so I can do bigger deals just because of pure math, right? Like if a hotel room costs, call it $200,000 to build, one hotel room, and I'm going to do at least, let's say, call it 30 rooms, that's $6 million. So I need to have
Big
access
pocket.
to.
You need deep pockets.
I need a deeper pocket, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of people at $25,000.
It's like a million people at $25,000, right?
It's
so
really hard.
For that, I think that I'm going to figure out ways where whenever I feel like it's going to be much easier to bring non-accredited again, I'm more than happy to do it. But I don't know that I'm going to want to do it right now. I'm looking for partners with, bigger checks. You'd be surprised. Some people that have actually reached out to me to invest, they don't like to invest with other people. They want to find deals where it's just like
Them.
just one-on-one.
Yeah.
Two people. I'm sure that's happened to you too.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's our preferred way that we would do deals too, is throughout the years, it's always been one deal, one investor, and us.
Yeah.
That's how we would set that up.
And why do you do it that way? Do you feel more comfortable or?
Well, I do it for a couple of reasons. One, it's worked out with the deal size that it works really well. So if I'm buying a house for say $75,000 to $250,000, and I need another $50,000 or $75,000 for renovations, then my all-in investment is $125,000 to $350,000. It's pretty easy to find one person to come into that deal,
right?
And it's a very, very clean structure.
Very
right?
clean.
It's also very easy to be on the same page with one partner, one investor. Now, is it hard to be on the same page with two? No, it's not, but it's a little bit harder. You add three, it's significantly harder.
Yep.
Get Patio Elba, 15 people. If they're a part of any kind of decision making, that becomes a nightmare.
Sure.
So I've stayed away from.
But the way the syndication works is that you have a general partner and you have the
Yes.
limited partner.
Yes.
So out of those 15 investors, 13 of them are limited partners.
Right.
So they don't really have decision making.
Yeah.
In this deal, it would be just Eduardo and myself.
And that's what we've done on some of the bigger deals
Okay,
too.
yeah.
Or we'll set it up so that there's a debt instrument, and we'll allow multiple people to invest in the debt instrument and have a small core
Got it.
group. Generally,
so
the,
cool how
people,
you have
the
any-
people that are making the decisions, it needs to be you and me, maybe you, me, and Adon,
Yeah.
or just me, or just you, or just Adon. And actually now, as I get older, I'm preferring to get to where I invest with like, okay, JC, here's some money, you go run with it, and just pay me.
It's funny how you say that because people would be like, oh my God, well, you're losing control. I'm like, no. What you want to do is you want to find somebody that's very good at it, that has a good character,
Yeah.
that they're putting their own money into it, and then you invest with them. Because it's
Right.
like they're potentially going to lose their own money into the
Right.
deal. They have the character, they have the drive, and they have the energy.
Yeah.
It's a lot safer then versus when you try to do it yourself because you want the control. All of a sudden, you also have to do the work.
Yeah.
And it's not super fun to do all of the work. It's fun to go in and do some of the work.
That's
But
true.
the only way is to find an operator. I think if somebody was going to ask me what is the absolute best way to invest, you got to invest with someone that's, an expert in that type of investment. They've done it a couple times. You don't want to be their very first investor,
Right. You don't want to have them learn on your dime.
for sure. And you also want to make sure that not only have they done it a couple times, they're actually looking to continue to do more of that type of investment. So it's not their very last.
I think that's really important.
Yes.
You don't want to be investing all of your money with a guy who this is his last deal.
No.
We say this, if you're not growing, you're losing, right? Like
Yep.
you're either moving forward and growing or the business is dying.
Correct.
Right? That's the way it is. So I think that's key to find someone who wants to continue.
Yeah. And you also need, I think it's also very important for me, because I've talked to people about investing in their deals. I always want to know how much money are you investing in your own deal?
Yeah.
If they don't investing any money in their own deal, it concerns me. I don't know about you, but it would concern me because I'm like, wow, you're not willing to lose even $5 of your own money, then there's something wrong with the deal.
Every deal we've done, we've always set it up so we try to set it up so that the money gets half and the work gets half. But it's a 50-50 partnership. So if there's a loss, then the person put in the money loses half and I lose half.
Love it.
And there's also, I can't point to a deal that lasted any significant time that wasn't just like a complete in and out that we didn't end up with money in it, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we're running the day-to-day operations and we just always end up with skin in the game.
Yeah.
And it certainly can be negotiated part of it, right?
Of
There's
course.
nothing wrong with someone who's going to make a significant investment. And we've had this, I'll say, hey, I know your typical is you want the money to get half and the deal to get half, but this is $1 million investment. I'm willing to give you 800,000, but I want to see you put 200,000 in. And
Of course.
fine, we
Yeah,
can
of
do
course.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
I think at the end of the day, like when I did my first structure with a partner, I showed them where I was financially at that time.
Yeah.
Because, you could meet like a whale that has, $100 million.
Yeah.
And then maybe you have $10,000.
Yeah.
But then you say, hey, that's all I have. And I'll show you.
Yep.
I'm willing to put of my 10,000, like 7,000. Right? You're like, damn, that's pretty much all in. The only reason why I need to keep 3,000 is because I need to live.
I got to eat.
And you gotta eat, right? So I think that would be a valuable lesson if somebody's getting started. It's like, hey, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're willing to put some skin in the game. And at the end of the day, also, you want to invest in things that you can understand, that are very simple to understand, that you can explain to like a 10-year-old and they can understand it. If it's too complicated, like I was talking to somebody today and I just told them, look, listen to your gut and understand that you can explain to somebody else. If you
I think that's so key because what you just said, like I find myself saying this all the time. I want you to understand this deal perfectly. It should be easy for a third grader to understand it.
Yes.
The money gets half, the work gets half.
Yes.
It's a 50-50 split if we win or if we lose.
Yes.
These are very simple things to understand.
So you're talking about a type of deal where you have two individuals or
Yeah.
two entities.
Yep.
One is the bank,
One is the bank,
and the other one is the investor
the
contractor.
visionary, the
But they're
pilot,
they're gonna be the project managers
project manager, do
on
all
the
the
site.
work. Yep.
It's like the bank. It's not the guy from the bank is not gonna come in and actually like do any work.
Right.
They're just gonna sign some documents, give the money.
Yep.
So they get half of the deal for that.
Yep.
And then the other guy, because they're doing the work, they
They get
do
half of
yeah,
the deal. Yeah.
Very
and
simple.
if the
I
deal
love that.
makes money, we all make money. If
I
the
love
deal
that.
loses money, we all lose money. What I've never enjoyed being a part of were those deals where the money goes in and it could lose everything, and the guy driving the ship has no skin in the game. You said this earlier. And, you know, it's hard to explain that the first 20% goes to this guy and the second 30% goes to that guy. And it's like, man, if you need a calculator to figure out how all this shit works, I'd just rather do my simple deals. You know, I'm a pretty simple guy.
I love the 50-50 deal.
I like to speak math, and 50-50 math is really easy for me.
I love the 50.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, believe it or not, I have many 50-50 deals today, and I love them because they're like very simple. I'm like, hey, listen, my investor that's investing 50-50 deals with me has money.
Yeah.
So I want more access to that money.
Correct.
So, and then they want, so think about it. The first deal is very high risk for that investor.
Yep.
But then now that you have closed that first deal, then it becomes less risky. So by the time, so they are actually, by their 50-50 deal, in theory, they could have said, hey, I want 80% of the deal. You get 20 because you don't know what you're doing day one.
Yes.
And then eventually you can negotiate a better deal.
We talk about that on this channel. We've talked about that. If you're doing your first deal, maybe 50-50 isn't good enough.
No.
Because you're not worth the 50% to do the deal. You're such a high risk.
Yes.
You need to do whatever you can to get that guy his money back.
Correct.
And I think where you're going with this is, you probably do this as well, but I treat my partner's money as if it's better than my own. In other words, when I'm going to go broke in 2008, I made sure that I paid every single dollar back to every person I was in business with until I was just flat out of money. So I treated their money like their money was worth so much more than my money.
Yep.
I'm not saying this was the smartest way to do this, but this was just the way that we've always done business. And even to this day, if I have projects where I'm 100% invested and it's all my money, inevitably those projects are the ones that sit and wait and get pushed down the ladder and never make it to the top of the list to get to, because I've got other people that I'm responsible for.
Right.
And I treat their money as if it's worth more than mine. So
it happens to me, you know, like that would be I would say the downside of doing the syndication, which is that you always have to be a good steward of other people's capital and your reputation is everything.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you're most likely going to spend more hours, if you're a good person, on other people's deals and the deals that there are other people involved than maybe the deals that you have on your own.
Yeah.
Like I can tell you, I have a project on my own with my wife that we've been working on it for 5 years and we haven't finished it yet.
Yeah.
But I did Patio Elba, I did Vistamar.
It's the same thing that happens to me. My wife knows this too. She'll be like, oh, we're the only ones investing in it? I don't want to do it. She's like, get Garrett to put some money in it. Why do you want Garrett to put some money in it? Because you'll get Garrett's deals done.
That's funny.
Like, my wife's no dummy. We're like, okay, yeah, you're right.
At the end of the day, like, I think what we're talking about is real talk. You know, it's not to like make anybody like feel down that this is too hard. It's actually very, very doable. There's a million opportunities, but you have to be willing to. I think nowadays there's a lot of access to people like you and me. Especially, we're not necessarily gonna. When I say access, is that we put a lot of content that's applicable to Puerto Rico, and that wasn't available when I was investing. When you came in, this wasn't available either.
Right.
So I think that people have a lot more information now.
Yeah.
But what's more important than anything is to join communities, and so that you can get to know people. Let's say if you're a guy with a lot of money, join a community.
Yeah.
You might not go there to learn anything, but just to meet the people that are doing the deals, so then you can deploy the capital.
Right.
Or you can go there to join a community and then meet people that you feel comfortable with, and then maybe you guys can do deals together because, you know, two brains think better than one brain, for sure. And you can only meet those partners in those communities. So I think that if I was going to bring this full circle, I would say that is the value of the community.
Okay.
Which is to know that eventually, just like starting a YouTube channel, which it feels like you make a gazillion videos and nothing happens.
Yep.
But then one day everything becomes easier and people are more interested in what you got going on. I think that sometimes we got to do all this, you know, things that we go like this so that we can get to the destination, you know?
Yeah. I love this idea of joining community. We just did a video a little while ago where we talked about the best advice that we got. It was Adon and I talking, and we talked about three things. We talked about networking, and your network is your net worth.
Yes.
We talked about the money's not necessarily the most important part of the thing. It's to find the deal and to be able to get the deal done. And then the last thing was to take action. But part of that networking you just hit on, that's joining communities, that's being in proximity to people that are doing deals. One of the things that I like about you and your partner, Eduardo, is that you guys are intentional about putting yourself in communities with people who are beyond where you are now, but where you want to be. And I've watched you do it, and because you've done it, now I've started to do it.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool, right?
It's crazy.
I've been doing this for a long time, but I see something that I admire in someone else, and that's one thing that I've learned from you is to put yourself in those communities. So we just did this video, and we gave 3 things like the best advice we got, or I think for me it was like, this one piece of advice will make you a millionaire. What's the best piece of advice you ever got as an entrepreneur that has really helped you to get to where you are today?
Wow. I would say that it's probably something that I realized through joining communities is that the people that you see, and I think this is very applicable to today, the people that you see in social media that you think that they are some sort of person that has some special talent and that they are some sort of god or goddess, and that's them and that's not you. My biggest realization or epiphany or whatever you want to call it, when I started going to all these events and communities, that I realized a lot of these people are not even as smart as I thought they were. They just happen to be more doers, and they were willing to show up and do the work. And I guess the takeaway of that advice, I would say advice, but it's something more of a realization, is that you are probably much better than the people that you even look up to. But you have to believe that in yourself, and you have to be willing to do the work. And I think that you would be surprised on what your potential is.
I love that. And I think that leads back to one of my key things is taking action.
Yes.
Like, I'm constantly pushing people inside of all of our communities, whether it's YouTube or on school.
Yep.
Take action, do deals,
100%.
Jump in. You'll never learn as much from doing a deal. You take all the classes in the world. You can't learn what you need to learn until you're doing the thing that you want to do.
You have to feel that little uncomfortness, fear and pain and all that good stuff, and that is really,
it is good stuff too, right?
I think the learning, the fear
Yeah.
of like the unknown of what can happen is where the real change happens. And when you go through that, maybe it's a chemical reaction in your body that makes you really remember that feeling and give you the confidence to move forward.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's great news. All right, so JC, thank you for coming in and sitting down with me. We're going to shoot another video in just a minute on how people can get involved with Airbnbs, and you're really an expert on Airbnb, so you guys stay tuned to that. And next month, on the 3rd of October, we're going to shoot a masterclass inside of one of our school platforms for how to use Airbnb to get wealthy.
That's awesome.
I don't know what you want to call it. We'll figure out a catchy name
for financial freedom, and so you can travel the world and do whatever the hell you want.
There you go. Learn to do Airbnb so you can have financial freedom and do whatever the hell you want all over the world. I love it. So tell people how they can get a hold of you. Let's plug your Instagram and that kind of stuff. And you guys go check him out. He's got a lot of great content out there.
So I would say if you want to find me on Instagram under Juan Carlos Morales PR, or Juan Carlos Morales PR, whichever way it sounds better, or on YouTube. I have a little channel too where I have a lot of information. Sometimes I do live calls with brokers. I think it's pretty cool. Juan Carlos Morales as well on YouTube. You can put Juan Carlos Morales Airbnb, and that's the best way to find me.
That's great. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Give the video a like. We'll see you on the next one.